Next up, drought conditions last year made hay hard to come by in some areas of Nebraska. Add in the pandemic, suppressing oil prices, and we've seen a reduced supply in distillers' grains too. These less than ideal conditions have left some cattle entering the calving season with poor body condition reserves. Market Journal's Bill Dodd spoke with Extension cow-calf specialist Karla Wilke to learn some of the nutritional challenges facing cattle producers during the upcoming calving season and steps you can take to ensure your herd's nutritional needs are being met.
The drought conditions experienced in the Great Plains during 2020 stunted grass growth early in the spring, and things continued down that path for the rest of the summer. As a result, many producers were left with a shortage of grass, forcing their herds off of summer grazing pastures early, and many cattle may not have gone into the winter with the amount of weight they would have under better conditions. Nebraska Extension Range Management cow-calf specialist Karla Wilke tells me that this year will be very critical when it comes to monitoring and maintaining a nutrition plan during the calving season.
It's been a long-standing drought for western Nebraska, and we've had some really rough challenges. And so while this concept of always evaluating cows going into calving and making sure that we're meeting their needs is always, every year, it's an issue, this year I am particularly concerned because even though we can increase feed, a lot of times those cows are still losing just a little bit, but we have green grass coming, and we know that we can make that up very quickly if she doesn't lose too much. My concern this year is that these cows are thin and that we may not have much for grass. If we don't get some moisture soon, we won't. And so trying to intervene now is more critical than most years.
On top of dealing with drought conditions, cattle producers are also facing feed hardships from the pandemic as well. With depressed oil prices came an inevitable shock to ethanol production, and congruently, a shortage in distillers' grains. While there is typically an expected shortage in the fall as newer calves go into feedlots, this year it's been a consistent problem for much longer than usual.
We've had that shortage prior to that this year. We've had that shortage certainly during that time frame, and we're kind of dealing with that now. Corn prices have gone up, and so the price that the ethanol plants then have to pay for corn is higher, and then that reflects on distillers' grains prices as well. So a shortage plus an increase in price has made that a little more difficult for our cow-calf producer this winter.
Distillers' grains are a supplemental staple for many producers in the region and will make a terrific protein supplement. However, Karla warns me that some producers may make the mistake of assuming that increasing protein supplementation previously fed during gestation will meet the needs of a lactating cow, when in fact, they're not meeting the optimal energy requirements.
So a gestating cow, just a pregnant cow that's not lactating, has a fairly low energy requirement, and providing a protein supplement that a lot of that protein is digested in the rumen, providing a source of nitrogen for the microbes in the rumen, allows the microbes to digest poor quality forage enough to meet the energy needs of that gestating cow. Just increasing that protein source once she hits lactation doesn't actually increase the energy enough in the diet to meet her needs. So she still has that protein need that she had in gestation, and actually has a higher protein need now for lactation, but she also has a much higher energy need.
While this may not be your first calving season, there may be some first-year calf heifers entering lactation. When dealing with some of the problems presented with a lower quality forage diet, producers would do well to pay closer attention to those cattle in particular.
So she has that issue. The young cow has this energy need of lactation, but she's also growing, and so she has higher nutrient requirements anyway. And then if she comes into that second breeding season thin and still trying to grow and trying to take care of the calf she already has, the likelihood that she will cycle and breed back on time are kind of slim. So we always need to be very conscious of the first calf heifer and her needs between that first lactation and that first rebreeding. But this year it may be especially critical because all of our feed resources are tight, our quality may be low, and we may be already pushing the envelope a little bit on how thin our cows are.
With many producers gearing up for calving season, Karla tells me now is the optimal time to assess the BCS of their cattle and analyze their feed for nutrient quality in order to create an optimal diet during calving season that will prevent BCS loss in cattle that may not have the excess BCS to spare in such a dry year.
And so it's much easier to put some weight on cows when their requirements are low. And as opposed to once lactation starts, then it's very difficult to play catch up with that cow. And so now is a good time to assess the body condition score, making sure that we don't let hair coat or gut fill impact that score. If those cows are thin, then we can make adjustments easier now than later. Having that feed tested is going to be critically important because we need to know if that hay is very poor quality and we're behind, then that's going to cost us cows getting bred. And if it's better quality than we thought and we're overfeeding it, it's expensive because this year all of our feed resources are expensive.
In a year hampered by a pandemic and drought conditions, with less than optimal conditions, some producers may have had to cut some corners in order to make do. However, calving season is no time to be lenient when it comes to nutrition. Reporting for Market Journal, I'm Bill Dodd.